The other news of the day is that Trump is cracking down on crime in D.C. I think they've made 20 some odd arrests yesterday. I don't know what a daily average is actually in D.C. Let me see if I can get an answer on that. How many arrests? How many arrests on average are made in D.C.? I should put in a day. How many arrests daily? How many arrests daily? Because when they say they made 23 arrests yesterday, you have to know what the baseline is. Average arrests per day, the Metropolitan Police Department made 20,000 arrests in 2024, an average of 56 per day. Recent surge in arrests 2025, a White House official reported 103 arrests since August 7, 43 arrests made on Tuesday, August 12. So they're made, can you believe this? 20,000 arrests. Now, we don't know exactly what it's for. So the White House is cracking down on crime in D.C. You have people saying, oh, now I see that Trump can federalize the National Guard what he wants, but he didn't do it on January 6th. You're all a bunch of idiots if you say those stupid lines. Harry J. Sisson, I'm looking at you. The issue on the 6th, they got the National Guard after it was initially declined by Nancy Pelosi and I think it was Muriel Bowser. They brought in the National Guard and actually mobilized quite quickly when it was necessary. Until that time, it was refused by the powers that be in D.C. because they wanted violence to happen and they needed their instigators to make it happen. So Trump is cracking down on crime in D.C. and it's about damn time. And he's also cracking down on homelessness in D.C. And it's interesting. We're going to talk about this on Sunday because I know Barnes is very reluctant to support vagrancy laws or, people who are homeless by reasons beyond their control. If you criminalize that, you've basically criminalized something that's beyond someone's control. I don't think that's what's happening right here. I'm curious to hear Barnes's take on this because right now, basically, we'll get you into a shelter, but you're getting out of these camps. And now the news of the day is that homeless people in D.C. have two choices as Trump admin cracks down. The White House says those refusing shelter or treatments will face jail as enforcement ramps up. If you're homeless and you refuse shelter, that would be paradoxical, counterintuitive. And then the question is going to be, are you criminalizing something that's beyond someone's control? Or are you saying, no, if it's beyond your control, here's where you're going to stay. You don't get to stay in parks. You don't get to pitch tents and you don't get to create tent cities like you have in Skid Row in California. 100 plus, I think it's 150,000 homeless people in Los Angeles. It's a small city of homeless people. White House says those living in homeless encampments in the nation's capital will have two choices in the coming days: accept treatment at a homeless shelter or go to jail. I guess one way or another, they're going to get treatment and they're going to get shelter. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt announced the ultimatum during a press conference as reporters prodded about President Donald Trump's federal takeover of D.C., D.C.'s law enforcement. She said many of the homeless encampments across the city have already been dismantled, and those that remain, she expected to be dealt with this week. I mean, it's such an atrocity where, on the one hand, what really pisses me off about all of this is that you've got homeless veterans in America, you've got homeless non-veterans, you've got drug addicts, you've got people who are mentally ill living on the streets because they are lacking resources to deal with them while they are funneling hundreds of billions of dollars to fight proxy wars overseas, neglecting their own, which is one of the most poignant things that RFK Jr. said during his announcement speech when he was running for president, that it was either when he was running for president or joining the Republican or joining Trump's endorsing Trump. No, I think it was his announcement. He says a nation at war abroad will never be at peace at home. And it's a magnificent concept. On the one hand, just spiritually, when you are promoting, supporting, engaging in war, that creates something of a zeitgeist, a spiritual negativity. But more practically and less spiritually, you're diverting funds, you are neglecting your own, and you will bring that violence back home. You will create that violence back home. When I was in D.C., I didn't really venture anywhere beyond the White House perimeter and the monuments. And there wasn't much homelessness there, but I did notice a number of homeless people on the streets. I don't know what direction it was, but near the hotel areas. But they've got a problem. 70 homeless encampments have been removed by the U.S. Park Police, Leavitt said. There are only 2 homeless encampments remaining in DC's federal parks under the National Park Service's jurisdiction, and the removal of those 2 remaining camps is scheduled for next week. Asked about what options are available to the homeless encampments, Leavitt was blunt. Homeless shelters for addiction and mental health services, or jail if they refuse. Those are the 2 options on the table. The amazing thing is, we don't really need to go into the rest of this. They're not enacting new laws to do this. They're just enforcing existing laws. And the more I think about it, the more you just appreciate that the Democrat Party is a party of lawlessness, period. They do not follow the laws. They do not apply the laws when they don't want to. And then they abuse of the laws when they do want to. And then claim to be the party of law and order when they're weaponizing the DOJ, obtaining secret unlawful spy warrants, while simultaneously letting violent criminals out of jail on a rotating basis. The laws already are on the books. It's a question of applying them. And I'm making the joke, and we're going to see if it comes to fruition, that they're going to try to move to change the laws on the books so that it's no longer illegal. They're not going to get away with it, and I don't think they're actually going to make such a stupid move, although they've probably done it in other jurisdictions. Just decriminalize everything. I mean, they've basically done it in San Francisco, San Diego, California, Los Angeles. Decriminalize shoplifting so that it's no longer a crime, and therefore it's no longer a question of not enforcing the law, because the law now no longer exists. It's been changed. These are existing laws. You know, the homelessness out of not necessity but beyond your control. Well, you'll have solutions for that: shelters or jail. The right to be homeless, sleeping on park benches, okay, is one thing. Permanent encampments that turn into and literal cesspools, and I'm not saying this judgmentally, literal cesspools. In Montreal, when they had the Palestinian protest encampments, they took them down for reasons of hygiene. I mean, these homeless encampments, drugs, disease, human waste. It's an objective. The laws have been on the books, and they just choose not to do it, with all that entails in terms of a degradation of society. And Trump is, I mean, it's an amazing. I still have my grievances with some of the, as of yet, not successes of the Trump administration. But this is a dawn of a new America, pun intended. This is absolutely a new America. It is one of law and order, and it's one of justice. And it's one of government doing what the government is supposed to do. Not go after the grannies of January 6th, but go after actual criminals, implement actual policy to make society safer. And anybody in their right mind, which is not going to be a Democrat, objecting to this, is a partisan hack, is a partisan fool. There's nobody on the streets of DC, except for the criminals, who could be complaining about Trump federalizing the police force and arresting criminals, having more of a police presence on the street. Oh, but we don't want to see people with guns. First of all, bullcrap. People who are getting carjacked, big balls, wants to see more cops on the street. And you have to see more cops on the street in the beginning so the criminals know they can't roam free. And then once it's been settled down a little bit, you can put cops in strategic positions. You can have less of a police presence. But you make the police presence known, because that's how you get the criminals to know criminality will not be tolerated. You're not going to get rotating, whatever it is, revolving door bail for criminals. You're going to go to jail. You're not going to get encampments where Lord knows what goes down. They're going to be dismantled. If you need help, you'll get the help you need. And if you don't want that help and you break the law, you'll go to jail. Win-win solutions for everybody.